If there's one movie I've been interested in seeing for the past couple of years, it's The Flash. Having gone through multiple writers, directors, and held different owners of the actual production company, everything was pointing to it being one of the biggest failures in cinematic history. That was until leaks started pouring out. Then a couple articles here and there, and then the full film being shown at CinemaCon. And that's exactly where everything escalated from there. Early on, it was clear that anyone that had an early screening to this was raving about it, left, right, and center. I mean, you had people gushing about it.
Sean, we just saw The Flash.
Oh my god.
Dude.
People you wouldn't even think of giving it an extremely positive review.
According to insiders, the Mission Impossible actor said something to the effect that The Flash is everything you want in a movie,
dubbing it the greatest comic book movie of all time. Now, it's one thing for the actual stakeholders to sing sweet nothings about the product or marketing, and it's another thing for pretty much everyone to rave about it. So there I was, thinking about how this was going to be the underdog story of the year, until it got even weirder. The overly positive reviews became increasingly suspicious, barely if any truly negative talk about it. Then the review embargo dropped, and critics thought it was alright. Nothing groundbreaking, but alright. And this kind of got me intrigued about the film, oddly enough. I wanted to see what everyone else saw because the consensus about the movie was insanely jarring and created a lot of whiplash for me about being excited to see something great to seeing a dumpster fire. So of course I just had to see it, not because it's the hot new movie of the summer season, but as an experiment of sorts to see where I'd land in the overwhelmingly loud discourse about it. And well, it's just not that good, really. Look, I can't deny that it does have your summer blockbuster feel. It's grand, it's electric, and fun without any context attached to it. But being that this was in development hell for so long, it felt like this was overcooked to bits. Having gone through multiple creatives, Andy Muschietti does his very best to salvage any of this to try and make a film about Barry Allen. And that does shine through at times. During smaller and more focused sequences, they felt to the point, direct, and just enough effort was put into it to make it work within the story he's trying to tell. But the problem is, he's telling way too many stories at once. Most of the first half of the film is really where the meat is. It's where we get to see Barry, his life, the people around him, and the predicament he's in, albeit in a very choppy manner. You're probably seeing where I'm getting at. But Ezra Miller does a solid job of serving the character. While not great, and sometimes annoying unintentionally, I'm really not too mad about it. Hell, Ben Affleck's brief cameo in this as the Cape Crusader shows that once glimmering potential shining through. And once the story was set in stone and went out for the races, I really thought it was working fine, actually. There was some wonky CGI, and by wonky I mean terrible, but story-wise, they had something. Keywords, had something. By the time they met Michael Keaton's Batman, it just took a nosedive.
I'm Batman.
I'm not kidding you, from then on, you could literally see which scenes had rewrites, which were reshoots, and which were cut for time. It just goes from point A to B to C to D to E. It became the choppiest movie I've ever seen in the theaters. Because again, this movie is trying to tell too much in too little time. So it just ruins the pacing. And things don't really get any better when we meet Sasha Calle's Supergirl. It's kind of disappointing because Keaton looks like he's having a time playing Batman again, and Kata looks like she's trying her best given the script and how everyone looks like in the daylight, because other than the third act, it's shot very well. Seeing that it has the same DP as Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it shines through in both color and camera movement. But the movie is so CGI heavy, it really drags it down. There was a post I saw that pointed out to a scene that looked like a video game cutscene, and I just can't see it. It's that bad. As it was closing that big action set piece, I was just checked out about how ridiculously insane this is. Even Michael Shannon doesn't even care when giving his 10 lines said throughout the film. There's some beauty in this monstrosity that is the Flash movie, where too much is happening with little to no setup for it to actually stick and work. And by the end of all this craziness, there goes one very crucial question unanswered. Not deliberately, but accidentally. It's like this is basically the multiverse of madness on steroids. And it's just not good. Just like the film's spoilery content. Because man, there's plenty of that. Actually, there's not a lot. The CGI on all the heroes of the past is beyond trash. The CGI Christopher Reeves' disgusting work, Supergirl, Adam West Batman, Nick Cage Superman, and everything else about those scenes were terrible. And by the end of all this, we didn't even get the answer to who killed Barry's mom, literally the linchpin of this entire story happening in the first place. It just doesn't get a resolution. It's also such an insane compounding effect. The story takes a turn for the worse for the second half. Scenes become insanely choppy where the rewrites are literally happening right before your eyes, which then finally ruins the pacing and flow of the rest of the film. An insane whiplash effect both felt in the public discourse and the actual film itself. Art really just imitates life. I'm feeling a 2.5 out of 5 on this. Even if it tries to show some heart, it just doesn't have it.